Well, the storm is also causing major flooding on the 5 freeway in Sun Valley. Here's a look from Air 7 earlier. As you can see, it's caused slow going for drivers using side streets and roads as a detour. At last check, the freeway is still closed in both directions near Lancashire. This has been going on for the last several hours now.
Scientists are sounding urgent alarms as Los Angeles grapples with a crisis that has shaken residents, officials, and researchers alike. The city, an enormous urban expanse long known for sunshine, adaptability, and reinvention, has been overtaken by unrelenting floodwaters. What initially appeared to be 3 consecutive days of intense rainfall rapidly spiraled into a disaster of staggering magnitude. The scale and speed of the unfolding catastrophe left little time to respond. Raw footage recorded by residents from inside cars and behind rain-smeared windows reveals streets turned into fast-moving channels, entire neighborhoods battered beyond recognition, and families fleeing homes with only moments to spare. The sense of emergency is undeniable. This is not simply a case of above-average rainfall. Each successive surge struck with a violence and volatility unseen in recent decades. Roadways were overwhelmed by torrents. Traffic lights blinked out in sudden darkness. And those living on the margins, families without secure housing, absorbed the harshest impact as emergency services were stretched beyond capacity and encampments beneath freeways and overpasses were swept away. From above, news helicopters captured a city locked in paralysis, traffic frozen by yawning sinkholes, sewage erupting uncontrollably from beneath streets. Infrastructure once considered dependable buckling under the sustained assault of water. Every frame carried emotional weight, shock, fear, disbelief, as familiar landmarks vanished beneath the flood. Reports from Los Angeles County Emergency Operations paint a picture of a metropolis pushed to the edge of its readiness. Evacuation notices multiplied. Emergency alerts blared from radios and smartphones. And with every advancing hour, the storm exposed just how exposed the city truly is to severe flooding and cascading secondary failures. Scientists tracking real-time data have described the unfolding situation as a worst-case scenario. Vast portions of urban Los Angeles disappeared beneath water. Each passing hour compounded destruction that will require months, possibly years, to repair. Yet even as the devastation became visible on nearly every street, experts cautioned that the full scope of the disaster extends far beyond what cameras can capture. The flood represents only the first phase, with deeper consequences looming for infrastructure, vulnerable communities, and the city's long-term resilience. As shocking footage continues to circulate and the immediate trauma is etched into public consciousness, difficult questions emerge. How did conditions deteriorate so quickly? What combination of forces could transform a massive metropolis into a disaster zone almost overnight? And perhaps most unsettling, was this an anomaly or a preview of a new reality? Is Los Angeles now confronting a future defined by escalating weather extremes? What makes this storm so extraordinary that even veteran scientists struggle to explain its full behavior? Research points to an exceptional convergence of meteorological forces, powerful atmospheric rivers, unprecedented moisture transport, and entrenched weaknesses in Southern California's terrain and urban design. As Dr. Lena Chong, an atmospheric physicist at the Pacific Center for Ocean and Atmospheric Research, explains, this was not merely heavy rain. What we're witnessing, she notes, is the cumulative impact of sustained atmospheric rivers, soils pushed past saturation, and infrastructure operating far beyond what it was engineered to withstand. At the heart of this emergency, catastrophic flooding driven by California's storm surge, is a reckoning over what urban life looks like in a rapidly changing climate. When rainfall first began, few Angelinos imagined the scale of disaster ahead. Atmospheric rivers, well known to scientists but ominous to the public, pulled immense volumes of moisture from the Pacific and stalled over the region, releasing wave after wave of precipitation. A city more often associated with drought and conservation suddenly found itself drowning. Viral videos spread at lightning speed. Freeways morphed into canals. Vehicles were stranded or swept aside. Neighborhoods absorbed repeated blows. Yet some of the most chilling footage showed eerie calm before collapse. A driver filming a waterlogged but quiet street, unaware of the catastrophe moments away. No corner of Los Angeles was spared. The city's vast surfaces of concrete, asphalt, and rooftops left rainwater with nowhere to go except storm drains, systems that quickly failed. Eyewitness videos captured water racing along curbs with enough force to pop manhole covers and hurl trash bins and vehicles downstream. Across the city, residents stacked sandbags, boarded doorways, and improvised barriers in desperate attempts to hold back the deluge. It soon became undeniable that this was no ordinary storm. Atmospheric river events, Dr. Chang and her colleagues explain, can transport moisture on an almost incomprehensible scale, sometimes rivaling the flow of the Amazon River. When these moisture corridors stall over land, rainfall becomes relentless and destructive, overwhelming even well-prepared systems. Rainfall totals climbed hour by hour, shattering records. Power infrastructure faltered as floodwaters reached substations. Emergency crews waded through submerged alleys and footpaths, searching for stranded residents, often blocked by collapsed slopes, impassable roads, or urgent rescue calls from unprepared neighborhoods. In the Hollywood Hills, saturated ground unleashed debris flows that poured into homes and severed key routes near the Los Angeles River. Rescue efforts intensified as water levels rose faster than alerts could be issued. Like other recent disasters along California's coast, Los Angeles's once vaunted flood protections, designed for a once-in-a-century event, failed within hours. Engineers and first responders exchanged urgent pleas for support. U.S. Geological Survey geologist Dr. Marcus Ellery warned bluntly, "This is a textbook compound disaster." Offshore moisture saturated the ground, and fire-scarred terrain dramatically amplified landslide risk. By the second day, a state of emergency was declared. Major arteries disappeared beneath muddy water. Shelters filled to capacity. Images of submerged underpasses and overwhelmed neighborhoods spread nationwide. The city's vulnerabilities, density, aging systems, unstable hillsides, were laid bare. These events are not abstract. They are reshaping daily life, and their consequences will touch every resident. Stay with us as we track each critical development in one of the most consequential crises Los Angeles has faced in generations. As the city endures hour by hour, the greatest threat lies beneath the surface. This disaster is not solely about rain. It is about the interaction of atmospheric forces, geography, and long-standing urban stress. The anatomy of destruction runs through the city's soils, outdated infrastructure, and the legacy of prolonged drought and wildfire. For decades, Los Angeles benefited from a rain shadow created by surrounding mountains. That protection vanished as atmospheric rivers repeatedly drenched the region. Hills hardened by drought could absorb no more water. Slopes stripped bare by January's wildfires became dangerously unstable. Mudslides carved new paths through canyons, funneling debris into suburban neighborhoods. Meanwhile, urban flood channels and concrete rivers, engineered for mid-20th century rainfall, reached capacity almost instantly. Live feeds showed water spilling over banks, dragging playgrounds, dumpsters, and cars with it. Even areas never labeled flood-prone found themselves submerged in polluted runoff mixed with oil, chemicals, and sewage. Subtler threats compounded the crisis. Gradual ground subsidence. Sections of the city sinking year by year due to development and groundwater shifts became a major factor in low-lying zones. Dr. Thea Mars of the Pacific Coastal Research Network notes that minor subsidence, usually overlooked, can drastically increase flood risk during extreme events. Online, viewers watched water advance block by block, far exceeding official projections. Perhaps most devastating was how past disasters magnified the present one. Fire scars left hillsides incapable of holding soil. Entire neighborhoods were evacuated within hours as mud and boulders surged through streets and homes. When subsidence burned slopes and this level of rainfall collide, Dr. Ellery told emergency crews, the result is fast-moving landslides with almost no warning. Each failure triggered the next: rainfall, runoff, landslides, blocked roads, forming a chain reaction that left residents no time to prepare. This raises a sobering question. Can a city recover when its foundations, soil, waterways, power, and pipes are all compromised? For Los Angeles, that question defines the road ahead. Nothing captures the magnitude of the crisis more than the lived aftermath. In the days following the first storm, images flooded social media showing a transformed city. Freeways, once considered indestructible, were rendered useless. Drone footage from the 405 and 101 showed vehicles submerged, some abandoned, as drivers escaped on foot. In the San Fernando Valley, entire neighborhoods sat under feet of water. Sinkholes tore open streets, rupturing gas and water lines. In one widely shared rescue, firefighters carried children and pets through waist-deep, contaminated water as power lines crackled above. Losses inside homes and businesses go beyond dollars. In wealthier areas, floods destroyed art, photographs, and family heirlooms. But in cramped rentals and informal housing, losses were total. People left with nothing, navigating overcrowded shelters and uncertain futures. Food banks and relief centers saw demand surge. Communities unfamiliar with disaster suddenly became epicenters of aid. The footage reveals more than panic. It shows exhaustion. Children wrapped in donated blankets, sleeping in school gyms. Shop owners reopening only to see sewer water return. Unhoused residents watching tents and belongings vanish downstream. The psychological toll lingers as residents sift through debris, confronting the reality that no area was immune. Amid school closures, transit shutdowns, and health warnings, fear persists. When will it happen again? As scientists emphasize, this was not a temporary setback. It altered the city's physical and emotional landscape. Safety and certainty were washed away. As destruction became clear, another crisis emerged: the gap between forecasts and reality. Warning systems failed to keep pace. Alerts arrived late or not at all. Power outages plunged entire districts into darkness, crippling communication and rescue efforts. We prepared for flash floods, Emergency Coordinator Lisa Mendoza admitted. Not for everything failing at once. Models quickly became obsolete as water levels reached thresholds associated with 100-year floods. Emergency teams improvised, relying on satellite imagery and citizen footage to deploy responders. Researchers now point to a rare alignment: record atmospheric rivers, saturated soils, fire damage, and subsidence. Flood maps, Dr. Munn notes, must evolve in cities where the ground itself is shifting. The margin for error is shrinking. Preparedness assumptions no longer hold. As waters recede, Los Angeles faces the enormity of rebuilding. Power outages affected hundreds of thousands. Substations flooded. Poles collapsed. Utility crews worked nonstop, keeping hospitals running through temporary fixes that exposed systemic fragility. Water and sewage systems suffered pipe bursts, backups, and contamination. Floodwaters carried toxins into communities already reeling. Those most vulnerable suffered most. Homeless encampments were erased. Shelters overflowed. Cleanup is slow but urgent, clearing channels, restoring power, issuing health advisories. Anxiety about insurance, aid, and recurrence compounds the strain. A new reality is emerging. No neighborhood can assume safety. As Dr. Chong states, resilience now requires rethinking everything. Events like this are not anomalies. They are signals of a more volatile climate future. With each storm, baseline risk increases. Adaptation must be systemic, restoring floodplains, stabilizing hillsides, reimagining urban growth. The lesson is stark. Delayed action costs more than prevention. Planning, communication, and public trust must evolve. Resilience is social as much as structural. Recovery must reach everyone. As night falls, fragments of normalcy return. Children play near shelters. Neighbors share supplies. Recovery begins. Yet unease lingers about the next storm, the next flood. For some, survival is enough. For others, the future is uncertain. City leaders promise reforms. Scientists analyze new data. This flood becomes collective memory and perhaps a turning point. The aftermath is not just cleanup. It is a test of resolve. The next disaster is never far away. Stay safe. Stay connected. Subscribe for critical updates and join the discussion. Did this storm affect you? What lessons should guide recovery? As Los Angeles moves forward through uncertainty, may we watch, learn, and remember, so the cost of this disaster is never paid again.